You're watching Camnet TV, not just another channel. Welcome to Camnet TV main news with Banda Tandi, where the headlines: HIV cases rise in Zambia. Stakeholders calls for consensus among MPs on Bill 10. Church preaches peace and love amongst Zambians. In our international news, vote count begins in Guinea after 10th election. And in our sports news, CHILUFYA summons 46-member provisional squad for under-17 COSAFA tournament. Do join me with the details after this break.
Msika is here. We have you all covered with just 150 kwacha. You can advertise every day from 17 hours to 18 hours. For a 30-second ad, get the benefit of selling your products and services on Msika. For more details, call our marketing department on +260 953 995099 +260 962 444-726 or +260 971 177 467. Email us on info@camnettvafrica.com. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, Camnet TV viewers. I'm your pastor, Pastor Moses Chilufya. At 2030, please make a date with me. Contributions will be by Skype and Zoom. You can also text. We hope to see you there. God richly bless you. May God bless Zambia.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with our news. The National Biosafety Authority, NBA, has given Spa Livingston 48 hours to show a permit of compliance to trade in some products in which the authority suspects may contain genetically modified organisms. NBA Public Relations Manager Sandra Lombe says the store has since been ordered to withdraw from its shelves the suspected GMO products until they are able to show a permit evidence from their suppliers by Tuesday, as it prepares to destroy other products which the outlet has no authority to trade in. Addressing the media in Livingston, Ms. Lombe further disclosed that spot checks conducted at Kazangula and Victoria Falls border posts indicate that most local traders were compliant in terms of possessing permits to trade in GMO regulated by the authority. And speaking earlier, National Biosafety Authority Standard and Technical Liaison Officer Christopher Simuntala bemoans the information gaps about GMOs among members of the public, calling on the media to help with sensitization. He says the NBA was not established to only manage GM technology, but foster an environment that is user-friendly for both humans and animals through regulation of GMO products, which he says affects everyone in one way or another. Details in this report.
If you remember last year, we had a bit of a hitch with SPA because they had some products that did not have a permit. This time around, when we visited, we found that they're actually complying. They have products that they're getting from the local suppliers, and as such, we would like to commend them for that. We've also been to ZAMBIA, and we are glad to report that ZAMBIA is now labeling their products. They are using ingredients that may contain GMOs. They are getting them from a company that we have granted a permit. So those products that contain GMOs, they've now started labeling. We've sampled not only in Southern Province, but even in Lusaka and other parts of the country, and we've noticed that they've started labeling them. We've been also to ShopRite, and I think ShopRite is one of the companies that is also complying. We also visited SPA here in Livingston, and unfortunately we had to seize some products because they were selling products that are not on a permit. We have not issued them a permit, and these are products that are labeled under their brand, SPA. We've seized them on site, and we've also seized many other different products that they were not able to produce a permit there and then. We have asked distributors where they're getting products from to offer these shops copies of permits. Unfortunately, at the time of the operation, SPA Livingstone did not have that permit. As such, we had to put down all the products from the shelf, and we've seized them on site, meaning that we've asked them to put them off shelf. And
United Party for National Development President Hakainde Hichilema has pledged to respond to the challenges that are being faced by students countrywide in various universities and colleges once voted as president in 2021. Addressing some students who called on him at his new Kasama residence, Mr. Hichilema says he is alive to the plight of students in the country, stating that once in power, he will prioritize addressing their challenges. Mr. Hichilema tells the youth that his government will ensure that deserving students will be given bursaries regardless of their political affiliations. He says education is a right and not a preserve of a few individuals with relatives in government. He says Zambia is a wealthy country with a missing link of good leadership, adding that aiding students to attain their educational goals is possible. Meanwhile, the students, through their representatives, have pledged maximum support for the UPND president and its leadership. Details in this report.
It's darkest before dawn. Yes. We should not allow thugs to arrest us, to arrest students. Yes. Ukagwira umozi, wagwira tonsi. Zambia, next. You must look forward to better days. Yes. And they are coming. Yes. One of my first assignments, once you put us in office, is to bring back bursaries for all students. Me, when I completed grade 12 from 5, I came from a village. Because I passed to go to Unza, the bursary came to me automatically. So everybody who passes to go to Unza, to university, to college, as Barry comes, he will fix it. You will all have bursaries. Your BC will be there. Yes. What is happening now? BC bursaries is given to students related to politicians. Yes. What a shame! Shame!
The National AIDS Council has charged that the increase in HIV cases in Zambia is a source of concern that calls for concerted efforts in reducing the numbers. NAC National Director Policy and Planning, John Mwale, notes that Zambia in 2019 recorded 51,000 new cases of HIV from 43,000 the previous year. Dr. Mwale adds that teenage pregnancy records have also increased according to the Zambian Demographic Survey, which indicates that the number has increased from 27% in 2007 to 29% in 2018. He says this can be attributed to the information gap amongst the adolescents. The medical expert has since called on policymakers to start responding to the needs in a workable manner. Dr. Banda was speaking at an engagement meeting organized by civil society players championing sexual reproductive health as a right. Let's get the details.
Statistics, you know the teen pregnancies, and I'll use the Zambia Demographic Survey. This is a public document which is in the public domain. Look at the teen pregnancies in 2007. The Zambia Demographic Health Survey reports that we're at 27%. The latest information data in the 2018 Zambia Demographic Health Survey, it shows that we've actually gone to 29%. And when you look at the age bracket, you note that these are young people that are doing their primary school. So probably it's the age, 10 to somewhere around 15, mainly. These are the young people that are falling pregnant. When you look at the Ministry of General Education bulletin, you take interest, I think this is online, you take interest and look at what is reported there. Every year, we have a minimum of about 16,000 girls, young girls, teenagers falling pregnant as and they drop out of school. When one falls pregnant, that means they had sex without protection. So for us, to us in the HIV response and others, what we think is happening is that young people are not protecting themselves because of some of these, guidelines. And what we're saying is that if we are saying the young people are the future of this country, they are the future of this world, why can't we address some of these underlying issues that we are seeing, in our country at regional level? I think the situation that my colleague talked about in Zimbabwe is the same.
Meanwhile, Zambian Youth Platform Executive Director Sibu Malamo says there is need for government to work collaboratively with other stakeholders in ensuring that policies being formulated surrounding sexual reproductive health are fully implemented. And youth advocate, Zimbabwean non-governmental organization Executive Director Tatenda Songore says there is a need for policymakers to ensure that SHR is not only on paper but fully implemented, stating that Zambia and Zimbabwe share the same challenges. Let's get the details.
It will take time, but there's no parent who's going to wait for the young person to actually process this information. So most of them are not even tested. I think that is the reason why, even in the era of free ARVs, free treatment, we still get a number of adolescents dying from age-related deaths unnecessarily. When they could easily access the service, they could easily know their HIV status. We are now in the era of test and treat. Why can't young people actually freely test, know their HIV status, actually continue adhering to treatment? As a platform, we continue to engage in community-led monitoring, which is actually driven by the young people themselves. And most of the evidence that we are generating from that conversation, that process, is also pointing to the fact that because most of these adolescents are used to being escorted to the facility for the test, then later on to go and access treatment throughout this process. So as and when the adult who is responsible for actually fulfilling this particular service is busy, the young person will miss their appointment because they are actually programmed like that. Like they can't go on their own, they need this person to actually accompany them.
The big issue that we have is we have got an increasing HIV prevalence amongst adolescents and young people within the region. We have got an increasing number of teenage pregnancies in the region. We have also an increase in terms of STI cases that were reported in the region. And the worst affected are adolescents and young women who are the worst affected. Imagine you're a 14-year-old young lady, and in one or the other you engage in sexual intercourse, and without the right information, the right tools to protect yourself. What it simply means is your opportunity and prospects for further development have shrinked. You can't pursue education because regardless of the fact that the ministry might allow you to go back once you're pregnant.
And in other news stories, Chief Nshima Sakeni of the Lunda-speaking people of Zambezi district in Northwestern Province has attributed the lack of recreation facilities for young people as being the major reason behind the scourge of teen pregnancies and early marriages in Zambezi district. Available statistics show that 31% of Zambian girls are married before their 18th birthday and 6% are married before the age of 15. And Chief Nshima Sakeni says they are no entertainment activities to keep the young people busy, hence they resort to illicit behaviors. Speaking to Camnet TV News, the traditional leader explained that he has been working with stakeholders, including civil society organizations and the Ministry of General Education, in order to curb the vice through various ways. He says what is important at the moment is putting in place activities that would keep young people engaged all the time and stay away from things that are detrimental to their livelihoods. He says among measures being enforced to curb the vice include stiff punishment for perpetrators of child marriages.
But as their Royal Highnesses, this is something that we do not want in our chiefdoms, and we are working with the government officers, especially the police, royal establishments, the head teachers, the church, so that we curb the vice. For the culprits that are found wanting, we usually punish them. If it is a grave offense, we surrender them to the police so that they are prosecuted. But if it is a minor offense, the traditional royal establishment, they actually punish them by working on the traditional fields.
You're still watching Camnet TV, main news on Camnet TV, which is just not another channel. Do join us after this break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
I have used Oracle Pure Glycerin for 2 years now. It has really worked for me. It has cleared all the black spots on my face. It has restored my skin beauty. It also smoothens the skin. Try Oracle Pure Glycerin for perfect skin. If it's not Oracle Glycerin, then it's not pure glycerin.
Hello, Camnet TV viewers. I'm your pastor, Pastor Moses CHILUFYA. At 2030, please make a date with me. Contributions will be by Skype and Zoom. You can also text. We hope to see you there. God richly bless you. May God bless Zambia.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with our news stories. The church in Petauke district has urged Zambians to always embrace one another with love, peace and unity in order to steer national development. Bread of Life Church International Petauke branch pastor Teddy Mundia says Zambia has a lot of natural resources and minerals that has the potential to assist its country in order to collect revenue and boost its development, but that can be achievable if its people unite and love one another for developmental purposes. Zanis reports that Pastor Mundia was speaking on Sunday during the commemoration of National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance and Reconciliation held at Pentecostal Assemblies of God Church in Petauke. Here's a report.
The 2020 National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance and Reconciliation was celebrated in style by the people of Petauke district as they were treated to some life-touching messages and encouraging words from their area member of parliament, Doris Leah, and from the clergy. Bread of Life International Church Petauke branch Pastor Ted Mundia said it is the role of the church to pray for the nation and unite its people in peace and love.
The church is there to offer counsel to our national leaders, our civic leaders, and all the leaders in various portfolios. That is our mandate. We are counselors. The church is there to stand in the gap for the nation and also for our leaders. We are there to stand in the gap. No wonder we are here today. We are here to stand in the gap. The church is there to champion true reconciliation. And I'm saying true reconciliation.
The event was graced by Chief Government Spokesperson Doris Leah, who is also Information and Broadcasting Services Minister and Petauke Central Member of Parliament.
So chifungwa masiku anakupeza kuti yaya tivana masiye kanyewo kasunga mabanja boma virizano vyakile tisunge vana tima street kids chifungwa masiku anakupeza ninja zimbuya osauka ovutikira komanda mabanja chifungwa masiku anakupeza vana osoba ulemo okango kutakule kwino komatina mabanja nekhani ikole tino si tumumbukira kuti tupasa chalo kuli Yesu kuli Mulungu chalo mabanja mwaso alimo Mulungu tinapeza kuchechi koma kutachoka kunanda Mulungu aliko.
The traditional leadership from the area also had a message for all Zambians on this special day.
This day has been a wonderful day. I didn't think that prayer and fasting is something that would be celebrated this way. It is necessary. You read about it in the Bible, the importance of prayer and fasting. If the Son of God himself prayed and fasted, who are we? And when you read the Bible, it says when you pray and when you fast. So it's a command. As we go forward, I pray that we can see the things that we prayed about. We can see God's hand over our nation. We have already seen it when you talk about COVID. They expected us to die like flies, end of quote. But it's been nothing short of a miracle, and I wish everybody else would call it what it is. It is a miracle for Zambia.
Some Petauke residents expressed gratitude to President Edgar Lungu for declaring October 18th as the National Day of Prayer, Fasting, Repentance and Reconciliation.
Nkakumvelana mno Mzambia mlibende hosti kuyambana tufunika cheku ngala as one people mwenezi wiki at one Zambia, one nation.
We need unity, cooperation to celebrate this day, to pray to our God so that He can heal our land.
The event was characterized by music from various choirs, and the inmates were also in attendance. From Petauke District, I'm Hilda Msonda.
And Zambia's ambassador to Ethiopia, Emmanuel Mwamba, says the National Day of Prayer is not held to honor man or the government, but is held to honor God and uphold the principles and values of Zambia as a Christian nation. Speaking during a virtual commemoration of the National Day of Prayer and Fasting in Ethiopia, Mr. Mwamba encouraged Zambians based in Ethiopia to commemorate the day as it was a national event. He said it was imperative that the day was used to heal the wounds in the country and forge as a united people. The ambassador said the declaration of Zambia as a Christian nation was not enough, but this needed to be affirmed through practicing godly principles and practicing acts of love and kindness. And the Association of Zambia and Ethiopia President Milimo Ngulu said the community was excited to observe the day and pray for the country. The theme for this year's National Day of Prayer is Zambia seeks God's intervention for sustained national unity, peace and prosperity. This is according to a statement issued to Camnet TV News by First Secretary Press and Tourism at the Zambia Embassy in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, Inutu Mupango Mwanza. And in other news stories, Transparency International Zambia has underscored that the integrity committees instituted in various government institutions and agencies have not done enough to curb corruption in the country. Integrity committees are government programs aimed at fostering a corrupt-free environment to the public service. Notably, the 2019 Corruption Index shows Zambia ranked at 34 out of 180 countries with 113 points and has continued a consistent downward trend since 2016. The 2019 index further notes that this is Zambia's lowest score and ranking in 8 years. TIZ Executive Director Maurice Nyambe notes that integrity committees have a huge role to play in the corruption fight. Mr. Nyambe has further advised government to relook into these committees to ascertain their relevancy. Details in this report.
The integrity committees that exist in these different entities are an important entity, or an important part of promoting accountability and promoting transparency in these entities. But that said, it's clear that maybe in terms of how they have fared, and in terms of them actually playing the role that they are intended to, obviously maybe there are still challenges in place. I think there's always areas where improvements can be made. Not to mention specific organizations or specific agencies of government, but I think there are examples where integrity committees have actually played that role as effectively as they should. But then you also have others where maybe the role may not have been played to the extent that it could have been. So I think our role as TIZ has been really just to engage with these entities, also to provide things like training and to provide a platform for us to be able to enhance how effectively these committees can be. And I think that's something that we'll continue to do even as an entity, because we do collaborate with a number of government agencies along that line.
Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles, Chief Executive Officer Joseph Kunda hopes that the controversial debate on Bill 10 can be concluded on the 29th of this month following continued deferments from the executive. Mr. Kunda has since urged members of parliament to build consensus on the matter if the country is to move forward. He has further urged the opposition and some independent MPs to remain in the House when the bill comes on the floor of the House so that they securitize it as opposed to walking out. The bill has seen over 5 deferments and stakeholders are now calling for its conclusion.
Values that MP and VP stand for include matters to do with the Constitution. We were very much delighted as an organization when we learned that Parliament will be debating the second stage of the bill, number 10, on 29th of this month. And our view is that let those who are not interested in Bill 10 or the contents of Bill 10 be part of the discussion. They should be part of the debate, so that if at all they are not interested in certain articles or in certain issues that are embraced in that particular bill, let them shoot them down right in there in Parliament. They shouldn't walk out of Parliament at all. They need to play their role, especially parliamentarians. You know, it's a responsibility that is given to them not to, of course, walk out of Parliament whenever such an issue comes about. So we look forward actually to seeing all members of Parliament being present and discuss. They need to ensure that they evaluate and scrutinize all the points and factors that are discussed in Bill 10. And if at all certain things are irrelevant or they are not needed, let them discuss and ensure that they are done away with. But otherwise, simply resolving to coming out of the discussion would not be the best. Especially, it won't serve the interests of the Zambians.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kunda has expressed concern at the continued dominancy of foreigners in the Zambian labor market. Mr. Kunda notes that foreigners have continued to take up almost all contracts whilst venturing into non-specialized jobs which the local people can participate in. He gives an example of the selling of chickens and block making as some of the businesses which can be left in the hands of the local people other than allowing foreigners to also engage in such labor. Details in this report.
Ensuring that jobs that are supposed to be done by locals are entirely done by locals. We have this situation, for example, in Kapiri, where people from Turkey and from Lebanon have taken over certain jobs. They've started modding blocks. They came with some machines, and then they've started modding blocks. We have situations where some Chinese guys are selling even boats and nuts at 15 way. Now we have a question there, and that's where we are having the problems with understanding, and that's where many Zambians feel deprived. That sense of being patriots or citizens seem to be taken away from them because foreigners have taken away jobs that belong to local Zambians. For example, when it comes to rearing or keeping chickens, and small jobs that are supposed to be done by Zambians are taken away by foreigners. So the government needs to look into this in ensuring that jobs that are supposed to be done by Zambians. So social equity, non-discrimination or marginalizing others. These are some of the aspects that those who are in authority, especially technocrats, have to look into this and ensure that the labor laws and the Immigration Act chapter number 123 is reviewed such that all those who are coming into Zambia, our foreigners, that they should be scrutinized at the entry point. We need to know, are they coming in to visit? The permit that they are being given, is it work permit? Is it for employment? Are they coming here for example, for education purpose? Are they just visiting? And it has to be prescribed, and no one must abrogate.
Still to come is our international and sports news. We do take our last set of commercials and return just after this break.
Take control of your tax planning. Avoid penalties and interest. Returns and payments due by the 10th of the month for declarations of the previous month's transactions are pay as you earn and skills development levy. Returns and payments due by the 14th of the month are turnover tax, withholding tax, mineral royalty tax, tourism levy, gaming and baiting, presumptive tax. Returns and payments for all withholding VAT agents is the 16th of the month. Returns and payments for all VAT registered suppliers is the 18th of the month. Submit the returns and make payments on or before the respective due dates to avoid penalties on the late submission of returns and payments of taxes. Further, note that VAT tax invoices for all business-to-business and business-to-government transactions must bear the tip-in of the buyer without fail. Zambia Revenue Authority. My tax, your tax, our destiny.
Stay home, stay safe. Times have changed. With the advent of the coronavirus, Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company would like to advise its esteemed customers to avoid visiting crowded places. You don't have to move to pay your water bill. You can do it in the convenience of your home. You can pay your water bills through Zanaco Zapit, Stanbic Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, and FNB. You can also use Airtel, MTN, and Zamtel Kwacha mobile money transfer services. For any inquiries to report a fault, please contact our customer service on +260 211 251 571, +260 975 618 618, and toll-free line 5957, Zamtel only. You can also simply email customer service at lwsc.com. This public announcement is brought to you by the Lusaka Water Supply and Sanitation Company. Water is life. Sanitation is health.
Hello, Camnet TV viewers. I'm your pastor, Pastor Moses Chiluba. At 2030, please make a date with me. Contributions will be by Skype and Zoom. You can also text. We hope to see you there. God richly bless you. May God bless Zambia.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. We continue with our news. Votes counting is underway after Guinea's high-stakes elections in which the 82-year-old President Alpha Condé is seeking a controversial third term. Sunday's vote follows months of political unrest, where dozens of people were killed during security crackdowns and mass anti-Condé protests. Polls closed after a mostly calm day of voting, but there are already fears of post-election discord after Code's main opposition rival, Celo Delo, suggested the president may cheat. Before counting began, his supporters decried ballot boxes stuffing and said its observers encountered obstructions at polling stations. Guinea's Prime Minister Ibrahim Kassory Fofana said there has been small incidents of violence here and there. We monitored Al Jazeera for this international story.
This is when the trouble starts. Not enough observers, too many votes to count. Election officials say a record number of Guineans came out to take part in this election. Most are first-time voters, queuing hours before the polls open to have a say in the country's future. Despite a divisive and violent presidential campaign with candidates fomenting ethnic tension, the voting was peaceful.
Donnez votre voix, mais ne donnez pas votre vie.
Give your vote but not your life. We are Guineans. What we have in common is stronger than what divides us. The nation is what we have in common. Politics divides us. We have to favour the nation. We have to tell ourselves that we are Guineans rather than activists for political parties.
President's Guinean People's Party is largely backed by the Malinka ethnic group, while Diallo's opposition party is mostly supported by the Fulani people. At the age of 82, President Alpha Condé amended the constitution, allowing him to run for a third mandate, despite widespread protest.
I wish for a free, fair, democratic and transparent election, and that everything is done peacefully and with tranquility. We will make sure all polling stations are secure. Guinea cannot develop if there is not peace, security and unity. We call on all candidates to avoid violence.
Already opposition candidate Jallo is saying he believes he has won the vote and accuses the election commission of favouring incumbent President Alpha Condé.
Quant à l'issue du scrutin, j'ai d'énormes inquiétudes si
I'm not worried about the outcome of the election. However, I have major concerns for peace and cohesion if Mr. Alpha Condé tries to seize power through cunning and violence. This will not be acceptable to our supporters and to the Guinean patriots who will have voted for change.
While the West African body ECOWAS and the African Union sent observers, the EU didn't. Analysts fear the worst is yet to come, with candidates refusing to accept the outcome of the vote, putting the electoral process in jeopardy.
My worry is that whatever the result is, we may go through political instability for a while. All these divisions that have been created over time, how do we build the country, bring Guineans together?
Regardless of ethnicity, most Guineans have almost no access to electricity or running water, with 20% of the population living in extreme poverty. And yet the country is rich in minerals, home to the largest reserves of bauxite in the world. The challenge for the country's next president is to deliver on what has become a broken promise: political stability and the economic prosperity so many Guineans are waiting for. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera.
In other international news stories, more than 50 United States politicians are calling on Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to release activists, journalists, lawyers and prisoners of conscience. In a letter released on Monday, 55 Congregational Democrats and one independent urged el-Sisi to release those unjustly detained for exercising their fundamental human rights. The letter is spearheaded by 3 Democratic lawmakers, Ro Khanna, Jim McGovern and Sherrod Brown. The politicians warned that the continued unjust imprisonment might result in their deaths in the face of significant COVID-19 outbreaks in Egyptian prisons. We now take a look at what we have in our sports news. And in our sports news, Zambia under-17 national men's team coach George CHILUFYA has summoned 46 boys to camp for the 2020 COSAFA tournament preparations. The team has since regrouped in Lusaka. CHILUFYA has added some of the boys that lifted the COSAFA trophy last year in Malawi under the tutelage of Oswald Mutapa. The Under-17 and Under-20 COSAFA Men's Championship serve as qualifiers for the Continental Finals to be staged by the Confederation of African Football. The Mauritius Football Association has confirmed that they have government approval to host these tournaments in November and December 2020, subject to COVID-19 levels remaining as they are and strict health protocols being implemented. The Continental Finals for the Under-17 age group are scheduled for Morocco next July, while the Under-20 finals are set for Mauritania at a date that is yet to be determined. The story is courtesy of Zamfood Sports. A sports news item brings us to the end of the news, but before we go, a recap of the headlines. HIV cases rise in Zambia. Stakeholders calls for consensus among MPs on Bill 10. Church preaches peace and love amongst Zambians. And international news, vote count begins in Guinea after 10th election. And in sports, CHILUFYA summons 46-member provisional squad for Under-17 COSAFA tournament. The Camnet World Verse of the day is coming from the book of Daniel chapter 4 verse 1, and it reads, "To the nations and peoples of every language who live in all the earth, may you prosper greatly." Thank you so much for joining me on Camnet TV Main News. My name is Banda Tandiwe. Pleasant viewing.